Hi, everyone. My name is Dawn. I'm your astrologer with the Astromatrix, here to talk to you about the upcoming Neptune retrograde. Neptune stations retrograde on June the 28th, the same day as the Cancer new moon. And Neptune retrogrades annually for about half the year. It will station retrograde at 25 degrees of Pisces. It's in the final degrees of Pisces, the sign that it rules. And it will station direct on December 3rd at 22 degrees of Pisces. Because it's an outer planet moving very slowly, it's only going to cover a few degrees during this retrograde. Now, Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, and in its home sign, this energy is very powerful and serves us well. A retrograde for this planet is a little different than other planets because Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, and they ruled the 12th house of the astrological, the zodiacal wheel, the house of our subconscious. When we leave our physical body and move on into the afterlife. Pisces is the intangible. It is a water sign. However, it is really much more like a mist. It is ambiguous. It is foggy. It lacks solid form. It is where we go to connect on a spiritual plane, where we leave this physical plane. And so that realm of the astrology rules that place of escapism, where we escape the physical world. It is a mutable, movable water sign. And as Neptune retrogrades, because it's never really that direct in its influence, it's can be very illusory, fantastical, delusional, because it's the escape. It's the escape from this physical plane. And so when Neptune is in retrograde, we get this opportunity to see the areas of our life where we could have been living in a fantasy. It works a little differently than the other retrograde planets because of the nature of this element, this archetypal energy. And during this time, we can have a review, a reflection of the areas that we have been practicing escapism tendencies, whether it is caught up in the moment of the dreamy feeling that we've been feeling all year long. The whole first part of this year, Jupiter was traveling with Neptune in their ruling sign of Pisces, Jupiter being the ancient ruler and Neptune being the modern rulers of Pisces. These two had not been there together in our lifetimes. And so this is an expansion of this. So we could have really been practicing some illusion type of behavior, some areas of our lives where we've been interacting in this really dreamy escape. And so now Jupiter has moved into Aries and will retrograde back into Pisces in October and finish up its retrograde in December. But during this time, we have this opportunity to check in with our spiritual knowing, with our discerning spirit, because the higher vibration of Pisces is that ability to connect with our intuition, with our psychic knowing, with the subtleties of spirit, which can reveal the truth of areas in our life where we can course correct now, where we can start to examine whether we have been self-deluding, whether we have been self-sabotaging in our escapism behaviors, or if the practices that we have been engaging in up until this point this year have been strengthening our spiritual connection and our own inner compass, our discernment of spirit. And so this is a time where we can kind of review that, and the fog dissipates a little when Neptune is in retrograde. And so I wouldn't say it's exactly clear. There's not a lot of clarity because Neptune lacks form. It's very spongy and indiscernible. It is hard to grasp. However, when it's in retrograde, it's a more opportune time than when it's direct, when we can check and see, is this dream that I am living, moving towards, active, activating in my life, if it's based in some type of reality at all. And if not, we can start to strengthen our spiritual connection to our source energy, our own true spirit of knowing. And this is going to be heightened because Saturn, which is the karmic structures, father time, is also retrograding during the Neptune retrograde. So they both kind of are working together for this reality check, for us to get some clearer, not super clear, but clearer views on what we have been dreaming about. What is the actualization of it? Is it completely an illusion, or is it a connection that strengthens our spiritual part of who we are as a human being? Now, typically the outer planets, when they're in retrograde, don't really affect us on a personal level. This retrograde's a little bit different because all of the personal planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, are making tense square aspects to Neptune during the retrograde. And so we do get a personal opportunity to check those areas of our lives in our everyday lives if we have been self-sabotaging in any kind of way. It's a time where we can see if we've been honest with ourselves. We can find a little bit more of our spiritual truth. We can see if others have been completely honest with us and areas that they have been maybe diluting their connection with us. And so this becomes a little more visible during the retrograde. The mutable signs will be the most affected by this, but we all have Pisces and Neptune in our chart somewhere. And so if you look to the house that Pisces occupies in your chart and what that represents, can give you an idea of exactly where to check to see, have I been operating in the highest spiritual vibration of my spirit's knowing and my connection to that spiritual realm in a positive way, or have I been using this area during this part of the year up until now to escape reality? You know, this is a time where we can check that. I'm going to give you the dates on the personal planets and their squares. So Mercury, moving through its home sign of Gemini, makes the first square on July 2nd, squares Neptune. And so because Mercury and the sign of Gemini involve our communication, our throat chakra, all of the information that comes in, discernment is key under this. Really pay attention to the information that's coming in around July 2nd. You know, a square always requires reconciliation. And so really trust your instincts and your inner knowing, tap into that during this time. The retrograde really heightens our intuitive abilities, and I think strengthens our ability to trust our own truth. And the second square that Mercury makes will be later on December 1st. And at that point, Mercury will have moved into the sign of Sagittarius. So this is a time where we may need to reconcile our own higher sovereign truth. When Gemini is in Sagittarius in a square to Neptune and Pisces, this could trigger us questioning our own spiritual beliefs. And so again, tap into your own connection to the spiritual energies available during this time to discern what is true for you. If this is a spiritual belief, or if something does need to be reconciled, if your beliefs have shifted, and how to align with that. Then Venus, Lady Luck, you know, the goddess of love, the ruler of Taurus, where the North Node is transiting. Venus will square Neptune when she moves through Gemini in July. So on July 14th, Venus in Gemini makes a square to Neptune. And so, because Venus rules what do we value in terms of love and money, this is a time to check and see if our desires have been deluding us. Have we been caught up in a relationship with money or love or resources or the tangible, and not focusing enough on the spiritual aspect of our desires? And so we can reconcile that during this square. Is it a feeling or is it a fact? Whether you're looking at romance or resources, love or money under this influence. And is it future focused? Is this dream able to become a tangible reality with the North Node transiting that Venus ruled sign of Taurus? And then Mars, our planet of action, the divine masculine to Venus's feminine, is squaring Neptune twice on October 12th and November 19th. And so this is very interesting that Mars, our planet of action, what do we desire? What are we driven to acquire? What is the dream we are working towards, right? And so with Mars squaring Neptune in Pisces, while Neptune's retrograde in October and November, the same months that we will have the second set of eclipses in October and November, I would say that this is a really good time to move towards your true dream, take action on it. Yet check and see if this is something that perhaps the universal energies at play during eclipse season could remove for you, could eclipse out of your life this doubting our own action, not sure where to focus our attention, or if what we're doing or working towards is getting anywhere. Wait until the eclipses have occurred, and then you'll be a little more sure-footed in taking that next step with that Mars energy. Of course, the eclipse energies play out for the next 5 to 6 months, maybe even longer. But this is, again, whether it's Venus or Mars or Mercury, all of our personal planets, when we're dealing with these squares to Neptune, it's super important to ask how this is going to affect us in our personal lives, because these are our personal planets and they affect our everyday movements towards our future dream. And Neptune rules Pisces in the 12th house of that dream world. So I think on a personal level, this could really help us move through some of the challenges and course correct when we see areas that aren't exactly aligned with the higher truth of the dreams that we're moving towards. And we can, as much as possible in the energy of this very spongy sign, start to take action, align with our values, and make a conscious decision to operate in the highest vibration of our spiritual truth. It's also a time where we could benefit during the retrograde with connecting to our spiritual higher selves. Any practices in nature, close to water, whether it's prayer or meditation, or however you connect to that spiritual realm, to get those messages regarding what is true and what has been an illusion. This is a great time to focus on increasing that spiritual awareness and connectivity during this retrograde. And so I hope that this has given you some direction as to where to look in your own personal chart for these energies to play out during this Neptune transit. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Astro Matrix so that you don't miss any of our important updates on the astrology that's occurring. And we thank you so much for the opportunity to be of service.